I'm Sarah, 34. Standing in my parents' newly renovated kitchen, I felt a mix of shock and betrayal wash over me. The once familiar space was now unrecognizable, with shiny granite countertops and brand new stainless steel appliances. I had come here for Thanksgiving, excited to share the news of reaching my $80,000 savings goal for my first home, but instead, I was about to have my world shattered. 5 years ago, after graduating from medical school, I landed a job as a doctor at Central City Hospital. I made a vow to myself that I'd own a home before I turned 35. Working in a hospital meant long hours and the chance to take on extra shifts. While my friends were out having fun on weekends, I was at the hospital treating patients. I lived in a small, run-down apartment in a not-so-great part of town. The rent was cheap, which allowed me to save more. My car was an old 2010 Ford Focus with a lot of miles on it, and the heater barely worked, but it got me to work. I shopped at thrift stores, always on the lookout for a good deal. I clipped coupons when grocery shopping and ate simple, inexpensive meals. Social events became a rarity for me. I missed my best friend's baby shower because I couldn't afford the gift and the travel. My family, too, was a constant source of financial requests. My parents, Tom and Lisa, were always asking for small amounts of money, saying it was for emergencies, but they never paid me back. 2 years into my savings journey, I opened a separate savings account at a different bank, one they didn't know about. I kept my regular checking account at the local bank where we'd all banked for years, but my real savings went into the new account. By the fourth year, I was constantly checking my savings balance, watching it grow slowly but steadily. When I hit $70,000 last summer, I allowed myself a small celebration, a simple dinner at home while looking at real estate listings. Last month, I finally reached my goal of $80,000. I was over the moon. I couldn't wait to tell my family at Thanksgiving. But when I arrived at my parents' house, something felt off. The house looked completely different. The front yard was beautifully landscaped, and the interior was like a luxury home. My mother greeted me with an overly enthusiastic hug, and my father was whistling in the kitchen, something he never did. During dinner, my parents made vague references to new investments and how they could finally afford the finer things in life. I asked how they saved up for all these renovations, and their cryptic answers made me suspicious. When my brother, Jake, and his wife, Emily, arrived, Jake seemed uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact, and Emily was fidgety. After dinner, I decided to check my bank account. I went into my parents' home office and pulled out my phone. My hands were shaking as I opened the banking app. When the balance showed $247.83, I thought it was a mistake. But when I checked the transaction history, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Over the past 3 months, there had been large withdrawals, all authorized by my mother as a joint account holder. I remembered that when I opened the account 4 years ago, I added my mother as an emergency contact and joint account holder. I never thought she'd use it against me. The transactions were all for home improvement stores, matching the renovations in the house. It was a premeditated theft. I took screenshots of everything and walked back to the dining room. I confronted my parents, holding up my phone. My mother didn't deny it. She said they needed it, that I made good money and didn't have a family to support, so I could spare it. My father joined in, saying they raised me and expected some return on their investment. Jake then revealed that they asked him for my banking information 6 months ago, saying it was for a surprise deposit. He thought they dropped the idea. Emily also spoke up, saying she overheard my parents talking about taking money from my account at Christmas. My parents' justifications made me furious. They saw me as a source of money, not their daughter. When Jake suggested they pay me back, my mother laughed, saying they had no extra money. My father then threatened to cut me off if I didn't accept the situation. But I wasn't going to be a victim anymore. I pulled out my phone and called the police. I also called my lawyer friend, Mark, and the bank's fraud prevention hotline. My family was in shock. They thought I'd just accept their explanations. The police officer arrived an hour later. He took statements from everyone, looked at my bank records, and arrested my parents. Jake was begging me to drop the charges, but I was done being manipulated. The weeks after that were the darkest of my life. I felt like an orphan cutting ties with the people who raised me. But I also found strength. I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Laura, who helped me understand that my parents' behavior was part of a long, standing pattern of financial abuse. My lawyer filed criminal charges and a civil lawsuit. My parents hired a public defender, but their case was weak. Jake, after some time, realized his mistake and offered to testify against them. Extended family members also came forward with stories of my parents' financial manipulation. My parents' lawyer proposed a plea deal. They would plead guilty, pay back the money with interest and damages, write apology letters, and attend financial counseling. I decided to accept the deal, but with the condition that they have no contact with me until they fulfilled all the requirements. 1 year later, my life has changed completely. The money has been returned to my account, and it's even larger than before. I've learned to set healthy boundaries. I bought a beautiful 3-bedroom house in the neighborhood I always wanted. Jake and Emily have become my real family. My career has improved, and I've been promoted. I've also reconnected with old friends and started dating. My parents completed their counseling and sent apology letters, but I chose not to respond. I've learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about people who respect your boundaries and support your dreams. Standing up for myself was the best thing I've ever done. It led me to a life I never thought possible.